Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. And on the news info, Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the inauguration of Guinea's President Mahmoudi Doumbouya in Conakry. The Vice President is also scheduled to proceed to Davos, Costa, Switzerland to attend the 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum following his participation in the presidential inauguration. According to the statement issued by Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President Stanley Uwocha, the Vice President's attendance at the ceremony underscores Nigeria's strategic engagement in the regional leadership, economic partnership and global economic integration under President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. The National Economic Council, NEC, has approved the constitution of the committee to oversee the implementation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive on the actualization of his administration's legacy projects, particularly the Lagos-Calabar and Sokoto-Badagry coastal highways. The resolution was reached at the 156th NEC meeting, the first of the year, held virtually. A statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Communications Office of the Vice President, Stanley Uwocha, says the Council also resolved to deepen engagement with stakeholders to boost non-oil revenue in line with the economic blueprint of Tinubu administration. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture IITA aimed at improving soil health, boosting fertilizer efficiency and strengthening Nigerians' drive towards food sovereignty. The agreement was signed at a ceremony in Abuja as part of the Presidential Soil Health Scheme. Speaking at the event, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, said the partnership would transform soil management practices through data-driven fertilizer and crop recommendations, helping farmers improve yields while reducing production costs. He added that the collaboration would also address challenges such as soil degradation, erosion, and climate change using modern technology and improved land management system. Also speaking, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, explained that the MOU focuses on strengthening soil health and climate services, building national capacity through research and data systems, and promoting a regional model of cooperation across ECOWAS. He described that the soil testing laboratories would be established across all 774 local government areas to guide farmers on what to plant, where to plant, and the appropriate fertilizer to use. Workers employed by the Federal Capital Territory Administration have announced plans to shut down government offices across Abuja and its area councils as they commence a strike on Monday, January 19, 2026. The decision was taken by the Joint Union Action Congress, which directed workers at all cadres within the FCT to withdraw their service following what it described as the authorities' failure to address long-standing labor and welfare demands. The Public Relations Officer of the unions, Paulina Adejo, confirmed the development to newsmen in Abuja. The strike is expected to affect all FCTA secretariats, departments, agencies, area councils, and parastatals effectively, grinding government activities within the territory. Moving on now to Rivers State House of Assembly reconvened to issue a directive to the Chief Judge of the state to establish a 7-member committee to begin the process of removing the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Udu. The House reconvened after waiting in vain for 7 days, which expired on Thursday for the governor and his deputy to respond to the allegations of misconduct leveled against them. At the plenary, the Speaker, Martins Amerwele, cited relevant sections of the Constitution and said the process of removing the governor and his deputy would continue whether with or without their responses. Meanwhile, 4 members of the River State House of Assembly who recently withdrew from the impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara have reversed their decision and declared support for the process. The lawmakers are the minority leader of the House, Sylvanus Owankwo, Peter Abbey, represented the Gema constituency, Valerie Uwoko of Ghana constituency 1, and Emilia Amadi of Opio Agbo constituency 2. The lawmakers made the U-turn during a live broadcast aired from the point of the River State House of Assembly complex days after publicly calling for an amicable resolution of the political crisis rocking the state. And now on, the Supreme Court dismissed an appeal by Aminu Sule Lamido, son of former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, challenging the forfeiture of the $40,000 to the federal government. A 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Inyang Okoro, ruled that the appeal lacked merit, affirming the decisions of the lower court. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Adamu Jauro and read by Justice Abubakar Sadiq Umar, the court said the appeal was doomed to fail and formally upheld the forfeiture of the funds to the federal government. The case dates back to December 11, 2012, when Aminu was arrested at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport while preparing to travel to Cairo, Egypt. He had declared $10,000 to the Nigerian Customs Service, but was found in possession of $50,000 in cash. Proper sanitation and environmental hygiene have been identified as critical in preventing the spread of Lassa fever. Dr. Aisha Ladan Musa of Federal Medical Center, Abuja, who made this known in an exclusive interview with Global Television, emphasized that the best protection remains simple hygiene and public awareness. Zara Nasiru gives us more details.
Lassa fever is an acute viral illness and hemorrhagic fever caused by the Lassa virus. It is endemic to parts of West Africa, particularly Nigeria, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. The virus is primarily transmitted to humans through contact with the urine or feces of infected multi-mammat rats or through direct contact with an infected person's bodily fluids. Dr. Aisha Ladan Musa of Federal Medical Center, Abuja, explained that raising community awareness and educating people on how the disease is transmitted remains essential strategies in reducing infections. The doctor said the greatest knowledge is knowing how to prevent Lassa fever, not just how to cure it.
The prevention goes beyond we individuals. It starts from awareness. Okay, so the most important thing in Lassa fever is community awareness. We have to inform educate the people on mode of transmission, the causal organism, and how it is transmitted from one to another. Because the greatest knowledge is how to prevent, is not how to cure. Yes, so outside that, also environmental and environmental factors also play a role, like sanitation.
In Abuja, some residents said they are already taking preventive measures by covering their food, maintaining good hygiene, and keeping rats away from their homes.
I know Lassa fever as a disease that causes harm to the human immune system. By making sure you're staying in a clean environment, because it's being transmitted by rats. So if you're living in an environment that is very dirty, they would easily have access to your environment, and then they would easily...
I know it's a disease caused by rodents that comes out of rat and it's related from the rat class. Avoiding deaths, because they come around deaths, they come, and when the time they also come around deaths, they feed on your food that you keep in your kitchen or wherever on your dining, and then you also have to protect yourself from your dispenser.
I know it's one of the deadly fever that keep people fast, and I know it's introduced from rats. And not keeping our food very well, but not covering our food stuff or other things.
Public health issues pose a huge challenge in Nigeria, putting more pressure on the country's already overstretched healthcare systems. However, the outbreak of Lassa fever has further complicated the situation. Zahra Nasser, reporting for Global TV News.
Abubakar Abdullahi, the Imam of Negar village of Birkin Ladi local government area of Plateau State, who famously shielded 262 Christians during a violent communal attack, has died at the age of 90. Saleh Abubakar, the son of the deceased, confirmed his death, saying the cleric passed away on Thursday night at the Plateau Specialist Hospital in Jos. The former presidential aide, Bashir Ahmed, also confirmed the death in a post on X today, describing the late Imam as a man who exemplified Islamic teachings on the sanctity of human life and selfless service to humanity. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. When News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Kalu has called for urgent collective action to fix the nation's food security challenges, warning that the agriculture must move from margins to the center of Nigeria's development strategy. Speaking at the annual general meeting of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN, in Abuja, the Deputy Speaker stressed that unity among farmers, government, and the private sector is critical to transforming Nigeria's agricultural sector. National Assembly correspondent Anete Patrick tells us more.
Addressing the forum, Kalu described agriculture as a powerful tool for job creation, economic stability, and youth retention, noting that productivity gains in farming directly translate into national stability. He urged farmers to organize better, adopt modern technology, and increase productivity, while challenging government at all levels to engage more deliberately with agricultural stakeholders.
Organize, enhance technology, increase your productivity. You are not asking for charity. You are building wealth and building a nation. You map the infrastructure and services you deserve.
The Deputy Speaker also called on state governments to back their commitment with funding, recommending that at least 5% of states' budgets be allocated to agricultural infrastructure, driven by data and accountability. He did not spare the private sector, urging investors to take bold risks in processing, logistics, and market systems, while working with smallholder farmers as partners rather than vendors.
This might charge to the state government. Allocate at least 5% of your budget to agricultural infrastructure. Implement the market mapping framework we have pioneered. Use data to target investments. Hold yourselves accountable for agricultural outputs and job creation in your states.
The Deputy Speaker stressed that Nigeria already has the resources, policies, and partnerships needed to achieve food security but lacks unified will. With rising food prices and growing concerns over food access, the call places renewed pressure on stakeholders to move from rhetoric to results in securing Nigeria's agricultural future. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says headline inflation rate fell by 2.18 percentage points to 15.15% in December 2025, from 17.33% in November 2025. The NBS disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index (CPI) report for December 2025. Earlier this week, the Bureau adjusted it to CPI methodology to clarify Project Spike, Nigeria's December 2025 inflation figure, noting that the increase is a consequence of a technical methodology and not of deteriorating economic conditions. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has endorsed Nigeria's December 2025 inflation outcome and the reverse inflation methodology adopted by the National Bureau of Statistics, describing the changes as consistent with international best practice and supportive of macroeconomic stability. This was issued in a statement on behalf of the IMF residence representative for Nigeria, Christian Ibeke, by the office manager to the IMF resident representative for Nigeria, Labara Bonnet. The statement stated that Nigeria's latest consumer price index data points to easing inflationary pressures, a development that could help lower the cost of living if the trend is sustained. The federal government has introduced a Nigerian industrialization policy, an initiative designed to drive value addition, industrial growth, and employment creation across the country. Minister of State for Industry John Eno announced the policy during a soft launch in Lagos held alongside the presentation of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group Microeconomic Outlook Report for 2026. Approved and violated in 2025, the policy reflects a coordinated approach to industrialization, trade, and investment. On our foreign scene now, Uganda's electoral chief says the country's presidential election was generally peaceful, stating that vote counting has concluded in many areas. Electoral Commission Chairperson Simon Baibakama announced this during an election update, a day after voting took place under an internet blackout amid long delays caused by technical failures as 81-year-old incumbent President Yoweri Museveni seeks to extend his 40 years in power. Uyi Agbomofuegbe has the rest of the story.
There have been widespread reports that biometric machines used to verify voters' identity were malfunctioning, which some have blamed on the government's decision to shut down the internet during the election. However, Uganda President Yoweri Museveni said he faced difficulties voting due to technical problems in Thursday's elections as the country faced an internet shutdown and widespread delays. Biabakama announced that vote counting has concluded in many areas, urging all candidates, their agents and supporters to remain calm and tolerant as the declaration of final results begins.
The Commission notes the exercise has therefore been generally peaceful across the country. We once again salute the people of Uganda for having turned up in high numbers to elect their leaders and for conducting themselves in a peaceful manner and for bearing with us as the Commission. As we talk now, the counting of votes in many places has been concluded, and the declaration of results or the tallying, the declaration of results, as the declaration of results gets underway.
The voting process, which took place amid an internet blackout and technical delays, has been closely watched both domestically and internationally. Museveni, Africa's longest-serving leader, is aiming for another term in office, continuing his 40-year tenure that began in 1986. Meanwhile, the Commission has released early provisional results from the presidential election, showing President Yoweri Museveni leading with 61.7% of the votes counted so far. Uyi Agbomofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Machado has met with United States President Donald Trump at the White House in Washington, D.C., marking their first face-to-face encounters since the U.S. military operation that led to the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro earlier this month. The meeting was held privately without the usual media conference as Trump and Machado discussed Venezuela's future amid ongoing political uncertainty. During the visit, Machado presented Trump with her 2025 Nobel Peace Prize medal in a symbolic gesture, recognizing what she called his support for Venezuelan freedom through the Norwegian Nobel Committee, says prize cannot be transferred. The United Nations Security Council has held an emergency meeting to discuss deadly protests in Iran amidst threats by United States President Donald Trump to intervene militarily in the country. Members of the influential 15-member UN body heard from Iran's deputy UN representatives who warned at the meeting that Iranians did not seek a confrontation but will respond to U.S. aggression and accused Washington of direct involvement in stirring unrest in Iran. U.S. Representative Mike Waltz used his prepared remarks at the meeting to criticize the Iranian government's response to the protests, noting that the ongoing internet blackout in Iran made it hard to verify the true extent of the crackdown by authorities there. In sports stories now, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has unveiled e-AFCON digital version of the Total Energies African Cup of Nations, marking the organization's first foray onto esports. CAF says the initiative is a key part of its commercial strategy developed in partnership with Kanomi through the game eFootball and aims to engage younger fans while diversifying revenue streams. The continental body describes e-AFCON as a significant step for the African esports ecosystem, signaling a bold expansion of African football into the gaming world. Now that's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @GlobalTVNG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good evening.